Where monasteries stand, the story is often older than the walls themselves. Again and again, across Europe, Christian sanctuaries were built in places that already carried meaning. On high ground, near springs, beside ancient paths, or within landscapes that people had long regarded as special. Sometimes the old sacred place was destroyed. Sometimes it was renamed. And sometimes it was simply covered by a new layer of stone, prayer, and memory. Here, above Bad Dürkheim, the ruins of Limburg Abbey rise on such a hill. At first, we see the remains of a medieval monastery. But long before these walls were raised, this place may already have carried a deeper meaning. Sources speak of a Celtic hilltop settlement here, centuries before the abbey rose above the valley. Nothing of it is obvious at first glance. The medieval walls dominate the eye. The older layer has sunk back into the ground. Within sight of Limburg Abbey, the landscape begins to answer. On the opposite hill stands the Kaiser-Wilhelm-Höhe, a strange little monument of the 19th century, raised on a rocky viewpoint above the valley. It was built in 1888 in honor of Kaiser Wilhelm I, the first emperor of the newly unified German Empire, on the occasion of his 90th birthday. Even the modern names carry a quiet echo. The address of this place is Sonnenwendstraße 88, Solstice Street, number 88. Perhaps this is only coincidence, or perhaps it is a quiet allusion to the pagan heritage of this hill. From here, the older landscape is no longer only an idea. A few steps farther, the ground begins to change. The path leads toward a place where the hill itself has been opened. This is the Kriemhildenstuhl. Straight walls, flat surfaces, parallel grooves, steps and ledges cut into the sandstone. It is one of the best preserved Roman quarries north of the Alps. Here, almost 2,000 years ago, Roman workers extracted sandstone from the mountain. Block by block, the material was cut, shaped, and removed, probably for the settlement and its buildings below. The official explanation is clear. It is a Roman quarry, yes. They came for the stone. But perhaps they also entered a place that had already been marked long before them. Cut into the rock face, a modern war memorial appears. A subtle marker, perhaps. Again and again, places of older meaning attract later signs. Christian symbols, monuments, boundary stones, and memories of the dead. But the war memorial is not the only sign left in the stone. Across the rock face, other marks appear. Carvings, names, symbols, and figures from Roman times. There are legion inscriptions, work inscriptions, horses, human figures, and strange symbols cut into the sandstone. Some are clearly connected to the Roman quarry. Others have been understood in different ways. Phallic signs, wheel symbols, swastikas, and animal figures have led some to see more than simple work marks here. Perhaps traces of an older cultic meaning. This idea was later taken much further. During the Nazi period, the Kriemhildenstuhl was seen as an ancient Germanic sanctuary, and the SS Ahnenerbe carried out excavations here. And then there is the name itself, Kriemhildenstuhl, the seat or throne of Kriemhild. Kriemhild belongs to the world of the Nibelungs, a Germanic heroic legend later written down in the medieval Nibelungen Lied. She was the Burgundian princess, the wife of Siegfried, the dragon slayer, and one of the central figures of the old epic. Historically, this place is Roman, but its name points somewhere else. In the Middle Ages, the quarry was connected with the Nibelungs and the Burgundians, perhaps wrongly in the strict historical sense. But names often preserve what documents cannot explain. From the Kriemhildenstuhl, the path leads on. We leave the Roman quarry behind, but not the deeper story. Almost immediately, the ground begins to rise and break into scattered stones. Low ridges appear beneath the grass and leaves. At first, they look like natural debris, but these are the first traces of the Heidenmauer, the pagan wall, a Celtic rampart that once enclosed this ridge long before the Romans cut into the sandstone below. Here, the relationship between the places becomes visible. The quarry is not isolated. It lies at the edge of something much older. On this eastern side, the Heidenmauer does not always reveal its full strength. Much of it lies hidden beneath soil, moss, and roots. Only here and there the ancient line rises from the forest floor. But what seems modest today was once a vast enclosure. The Heidenmauer surrounded an area of about 26 hectares. Its barrier of stone and wood ran for more than 2 kilometers around the ridge, enclosing one of the most important Celtic hill sites in this region. It belongs to the Tène period, the age of the Celts in the centuries before Rome. Long before the quarry, long before the monastery across the valley, this mountain was already shaped by human hands. From the eastern wall, the path leads higher. Above the rampart, above the old quarry, the ridge rises toward the Teufelsstein, the Devil's Stone. It stands on the summit of a hill that bears the same name, looking down over the ancient enclosure below. It does not seem to belong to the ordinary landscape. A single mass of sandstone set upon the wooded plateau, too prominent to ignore, too strangely placed to feel accidental. After the monastery, the quarry, and the Heidenmauer, we arrive at the place that seems to gather all these layers around itself. And of course, a stone like this gathers legends. One story says that when Limburg Abbey was built on the opposite hill, the monks tricked the devil into helping them. They told him they were raising a tavern, not a monastery. Only when the bells rang for the consecration of the basilica did the devil realize the deception. In his rage, he tried to seize this great stone and hurl it across the valley at the new abbey. But God protected the monks, and the stone became soft beneath him. And so, the legend says, the marks still visible on the rock are the traces of the devil himself. His body, his feet, and his tail pressed into the softened sandstone. From the Devil's Stone, the path turns back. Now we follow the western side of the Heidenmauer. Here, the ancient rampart reveals its true scale. The stones rise higher, the line becomes clearer. What was merely a trace on the eastern side now appears as the remains of a massive boundary. Step by step, the wall follows the ridge through the forest. Collapsed, overgrown, broken by time, but still present. And only here, walking beside it, does the size of the old enclosure become truly visible. This was not a small barrier around a forgotten hill. It was a great work of stone, wood, and human intention. A circle drawn around the mountain, a threshold that once separated one world from another. And perhaps this is what remains after all the names have changed. The monastery on the opposite hill, the Roman quarry in the sandstone, the Devil's Stone on the summit, and this old line beneath the trees. Different ages, different stories, but one landscape marked again and again.